Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Today we're going to take a look at the acrobatic movement mode. So let's take a quick look. So basically you have pretty much the first ability you will have to take is the rocket assisted glide. It will allow you to move from place to place much easier. I will show it to you in the open world. So let's take a look at all the abilities and then I'll show you some of them right now. So basically we have the rocket assisted glide, which allows you to pretty much glide in the air. There's the grapple line attack, which essentially sends a rope to your opponent and allows you to pull him towards you. There's the forward flip attack, which basically allows you to jump forward and attack an enemy. There's the zip tie attack, which entangles an opponent. There's the throwing knives attack that will pretty much damage and knock back enemies. There's the back flick attack, which will allow you to do a backflip and get away from the enemy, and also you will knock back certain enemies. There's the devastating flip attack, which is similar to the backflip attack, but it's a supercharge. And you will kick your target and nearby enemies into the air as you flip away backward, damaging and knocking them down. I'm not sure exactly what the distinction is. At some point we had the backflip attack, and it was turned into a supercharge, but when they did the latest changes to the game, they actually gave us back the backflip attack as a normal attack, and then they added the devastating flip attack as a supercharge. Of course, you have the various resistance, but let's finish. You have the launching roll, which allows you to break out if you get knocked down or stuff like that. And there's the perfect Poise, which allows you to damage and knock down nearby enemies, and while providing a swift escape and protection from crowd control and damage for a short time. Basically, it allows you to knock down enemies, and it acts as a shield. And it probably helps you get away. We're going to try it in a bit. There's the Fergus resistance that all the movement modes have. There's the knockback resistant, the stun resistant, the knockback recovery, and the breakout mastery. So basically, the stun resistance gives you a 10% resistance to stun. So one time out of 10, you're going to be able to resist the stun. The same with knockback, but knockback obviously is with the abilities that will knock you back. The knockback recovery and the stun recovery, when you break out, you will gain a bit of power back. And the breakout mastery will give you a bit of extra power back when you break out. So let's try the two supercharge. I took the time to recharge my supercharge before making this video so that I could show you this. So let's get started. So let's try the devastating flip attack. I'm only going to do it once, so let's pay close attention to what's happening. So let's boogie. So as you saw, I was able to flip back and knock down a whole bunch of enemies. The reason why I'm not sure why, basically if we do just a back flick attack, as you can see it does a similar thing, but the devastating flip attack seems to, I don't know, knock them down a bit more than just the back flip attack. And let's try the perfect Poise. The perfect Poise, I have to admit, it's been so long since I even tried that ability, I have no idea what it does. So let's try it. So as you can see, it knocked down a whole bunch of enemies. And it seems to act as a shield, and I think it was healing us a bit. So these are the two abilities, the two superchargers you have with Acrobat. So now let's try out our other abilities. Basically, I changed my loadout so that I could have them all. So you have the grapple line attack. As I said, it pretty much sends a rope that will pull the enemy towards you. A forward flip attack, basically a flip forward that will attack the enemy. Back flip attack, again, we saw it in a bit what it does. The launching roll, which allows you to roll down and send enemies flying in the air. There's the throwing knives, which should knock back enemies and damage them. And there's the zip tie attack, which would entangle an opponent, damaging them and stunning them. So let's give it a try. I'm not sure if the pull move will actually work. Probably not. It worked a bit. So basically, you can pull an enemy towards you using that attack. There is a similar ability if you're playing as a gadget character, especially gadget controller. So as a rule of thumb, I would strongly suggest to use the gadget ability instead, because it does do a few more things. It electrifies the enemy, and there's some sort of power interactions. But if you don't have such an attack, then this will do the trick just fine. So the forward flip attack, as the name says, you pretty much flip forward and attack your enemies. And the back flick attack, pretty much you jump back and you knock back some enemies. And of course, you can do the two if you want, as soon as the cooldown allows you to. So you can't do it that fast, but if you wait just a second or two, you should be able to do it. And then there's the launching roll. So basically you roll down and you launch an enemy in the air. Let's try it again. It used to allow you to break out from certain effects. I'm not sure if it still does that. I would have to test it out to be sure. I assume it does, but you never know. And there's the throwing knives, which basically just throw a bunch of knives at your opponent. And as you can see, it knocks them back a bit. And there's the Zipline Attack, which basically, as you saw, it just ties up one enemy. Ah, it doesn't work. Basically, when you do a crowd control ability on an enemy, you will break out and then you will gain some resistance to your crowd control abilities for a short bit. So if there's multiple enemies like that, you may want to cycle through the enemies so that your crowd control will be able to affect them all. So that was a quick sample of the acrobatic abilities. We're going to go into the open world, and we're going to see how it actually works in the open world with actual targets, actual opponents. Let's do that. So we're going to use the Gotham Under Siege map to show you some of the abilities that the Acrobat has. And also we're going to try out the various abilities against actual enemies as opposed to the combat dummies, because sometimes the combat dummies don't react quite the same way as normal enemies. Also, I will show you why I strongly suggest if you make your first character, I strongly suggest you make it a flank character. Because there are some hard to reach places that are easier to reach with a flank character, and also it's easier to just fly around and look for your targets, your opponent, or just fly around looking for investigations and all that good stuff. So basically, if you just hold the X button, you will glide a bit like that, but then if you press the R3 button, you will actually glide and sort of fly at the same time. And if you need to reach, like say, an exhibit that would be right here, it's a bit more work and more difficult than if you're just using a flying character. So basically, there's two ways you can glide. You can just glide just using the X button, but you will lose some altitude slowly but surely as you move forward. Or if you just press the left joystick, the L3 button, then you pretty much fly, but you don't have as much control as if you're an actual flying character. And if you want to go up and down, you just go up and down with the joystick, and it will allow you to change the altitude at which your character is gliding. And of course, the right stick will allow you to pretty much go in the direction you want. So the left stick controls the altitude, the right stick controls the direction. And so it's a bit easier with this than with a speedster to look for let's say a specific target. And then when you see your target, let's use our Uber Rope ability. So you can pull it towards you. And then you can... Oh. So you can flip forward, then you can flip backward, and that usually does the trick. So as you can see, putting a rope around your opponent works well enough. It doesn't allow you to break out. You can use this ability when you're knocked down, but as you saw, even though I used it, I remained knocked down. Let's pull back a bit. So as you see, you have a lot of abilities that will knock down enemies. And last but not least, I didn't really show it. Basically, when you're close to a building or a wall or something, when you jump, you see those swirly lines that appear around the character. That means that you will be able to just throw a grappling hook to the nearest wall. So if you just hold the X button as you see those squiggly lines, you will throw the grappling hook. And last but not least, if you're on the side of a wall and you just hold the X button, you will go all the way up the building like that. Oh, exhibit. As I always say, never pass up a free exhibit. Not sure if there's a bigger building we can use to show that ability. So it is not that difficult to reach an objective in a high spot using Acrobat. But it's not quite as easy as if you're using a flying character. With a flying character, it's a lot smoother and a lot easier. Oh, let's try that big building over here. So you can see it's a pretty tall building. Let's try and find ourselves a spot that will allow us to go all the way to the top. So again, if you just hold the X button, you will go all the way, sometimes not all the way to the top, like if there's sometimes there'll be tiny obstacles that will prevent, we have an invisible wall here. Oh, that's so sad. So sometimes you'll have, as you saw, an invisible wall, or sometimes you'll have like little obstacles, like maybe this here would have prevented us from going all the way. So maybe let's try it. Maybe we'll stop right there, or we'll continue. We'll see. So as you saw, sometimes there's obstacles just like that will keep you from going all the way to the top. But when an enemy is after you, it's one of the fastest way to get away from an enemy. So if you're in PvP and someone is screaming, is knocking you out, just go to the nearest wall and go up the building like that. If we were in the Gotham open world, let's try it to you here. That building should do the trick. So let's say you're fighting that civilian over here, and he's beating the snot out of you. Then you could just go to this nearest building, hold the X button, it will bring you all the way to the top, then go to the other side of the building, and pretty much get away. By the time the enemy will try to catch up to you, if it's a flyer, you'll be long gone before he can even try to catch up to you. Maybe a super speed character could catch up to you, but it'll require a lot of work on his part. So it's a fairly nice ability that allows you to escape from an opponent if you really need to. So I guess this is it for the acrobatic abilities. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment section down below. I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. So again, as I said, you can create a new character with Acrobat if you want. The first character I created was using Acrobat skills. But if you're creating a brand new your very first character in this universe online, again, I strongly suggest go with a flying character. It's so much smoother and so much easier And that's it. So that's pretty much it for now, guys. If you liked the video, click the like button or the share button, or even better, subscribe. And also there's that little bell that you can click that will warn you whenever there's a new video. So as always, guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.